All right. Hi. Yeah, you. Hi. Hi. Okay. That got your attention because normally you wouldn't think he's directly talking to me, but then I go, yeah, you. And if you for a second look down, you'd be like, who, me? And then you'd feel bad for not paying full, undivided attention. Okay. But go back to what you're doing. That's fine. The whole point of these is they're on sort of in the background. If you're listening to audio, I'm imagining that you're doing video because I'm recording video. But, however you're consuming this, provided it's not during murder, then it's fine. I'm cool with it. As long as no one's life's being taken while you're watching this. That's some delicious-ish coffee. Man, we're not gonna lie here. We're gonna tell the truth. So this week's coffee, let's do it. It is from, and if you're listening, imagine it, or just go to the YouTube / Nick Youssef, and then find the podcast. Red Rooster Coffee from Floyd, Virginia. This is another one. Never heard of this place. Never been to Floyd, Virginia. Probably will never go to Floyd, Virginia. Most likely will forget it's a place after I finish recording this segment. That's not nice. I shouldn't have said that. Floyd probably has some nice people because they're definitely making pretty good coffee right here, dude. Red Rooster is from Virginia. At Red Rooster, our mission is to roast distinctive coffees with care, promote sustainability, and take care of both our farmers and our employees. Over the years, coffee roasters have been adding this to the bags and really highlighting and making sure that that these, mom and pop places are not just taking advantage of coffee farmers and producers in the same way, the big companies, Starbucks and the big providers that buy coffee for them are doing. Some of these third wave, because you think like these independent third wave places are, they're, because they say fair trade, organic, there's like a handshake thing going on, and they're taking good care of these farmers. Some of them have never met, seen, or been to, and you kind of are surprised by it. You go, oh yeah, I guess maybe you're business people like anyone else. You can't afford it. It's not part of your bottom line. But some take good care and have, relationships with these places. And that's great and probably makes for better coffee at the end of the day. This place says they do on their bag. They pay high premiums to farmers for great coffees. Awesome. Plenty of people don't. Source organic, fair trade, transparent, direct trade. Great. Give money to social programs and infrastructure, to improvements at origin. I like that. I like seeing that. Oh, provide benefits and on-site child care services to our employees. Does that mean in El Salvador, where this coffee's from, or in Floyd, Virginia? Hopefully it's both, but this is probably a small operation. Who knows if they can make that happen? But that's neither here nor there. The packaging, I think, is great. It looks unlike a lot of the minimalist coffee designs, which I was talking about last week, which I like. There's something nice to look at. It looks like it was probably designed by some artist who's got a knack for American traditional tattoo designs, or is like sort of influenced. It looks appealing. I like that. So I'd give it 7 out of 10 for design. It is a natural process light roast. Natural process is also referred to as dry process, or just letting the coffee cherry do its thing without any extra agitation like water or whatever other types of processes there are. I just know that it produces a fruitier, sort of sweeter coffee, and I love that. It is more on the light medium than like very light roast, which is okay. It did more for me than last week's coffee, and it has more of a fuller body. It's got some like light fruit notes, a little bit of peach is kind of coming through. There's a little more nuttiness there, which is good. It's not overwhelming in one way or the other. It's a good morning or midday cup of coffee. You could have 2 or 3 cups of this and not really feel overwhelmed by a particular flavor, because that's the one downside of really light roast coffee. That super fruit forward thing is amazing for 1 cup, but I feel like 2, you're kind of like, maybe something different here. But a good like light medium body, like full bodied coffee, there's something like there's a heartiness to that where you could just keep going, like good diner coffee. I wouldn't go out out of my way to get this again, but if I say forgot to adjust my queue on Drink Trade, which is where these coffees come from, I'm not going to explain Drink Trade again until they start sponsoring these videos, but I do in episodes 1 and 2 of this. But if it arrived in the mail and I was like, oh, I forgot to adjust my queue, wouldn't complain, would make the coffee, would enjoy it every day. I tried it also on espresso, and it had a similar flavor profile. It was just a little bit enhanced, a little punchier. It made for a good shot of espresso. So odds are, if I got it, I would use it as an espresso and use whatever other lighter roast coffee that's coming in the mail for the Chemex or the V60. V60, by the way, was the process I used to brew this. All of these are going to be either V60 or Chemex, and the espresso is done by a hand powered Mr. Robot, which I'll do a picture of it right here, and I'm going to do a video on that because I really love that thing. So anyway, that's that coffee. Red Rooster out of Floyd, Virginia, through drinktrade.com. So listen, man, I have been taking a walk outside every day, and the sky is turning orange again. I thought we were done with that. Not with global warming. I thought we were done with the Canadian wildfires, but I was reading, and by reading, I mean listening to the Daily. They were saying that the Canadian fires are the biggest wildfires and have done the most damage than any other in recorded North American history, at least. It's pretty, the scope of it is even hard. Like they said the amount of like acreage and square miles and all that sort of stuff. But after like someone says 1 million acres, you're like, I don't know what to envision anymore. Because 1 million acres could be a whole state, or it could be 10 of them. I don't fucking know. I don't even know what an acre is. A square foot, dude, fucking sign me up for identifying that shit. I can do that right now. But once you get to 1 acre or half an acre, I'm like, look, I grew up in a city, not a farm. I can tell you what a mile feels like. I can tell you what a city block is. Can you relate an acre to what a city block is for people that don't live on farms or grew up near them? But anyway, more of the area that you can't envision has been burned than any other time else in history. I'm gonna fucking blame Canada for this. All right, they don't know how to get shit done, dude. In America, we would have beat the fucking shit out of that fire. That's what we do here in America. But Canada's like, no, burn, do whatever you want. We're not gonna stop you. I know Canada's doing a bad job because this is the footage of them fighting the fire. Awful. I mean, get some real firefighters, first of all. That's ridiculous. This fire's never going out. I don't know if it's bad to be doing outdoor fucking, biking and stuff, because I've done that during like hazardous weather. Like I did it once in LA when there was a huge fire, like not even that far outside of Los Angeles, and the sky was like dark fucking orange brown, like you couldn't see an acre ahead of you guys. And I thought, whatever, I'll just ride and come back, and then I'll do a short ride. 20 miles turned into like 55, and I felt that shit in my lungs at the end of the day. Not as bad as I thought, but it had an effect. I don't know that I want to do that again and suffer some. I mean, what's that the equivalent of if you're like like huffing and puffing on a bike for 40-50 miles, like during orange skies? Like, is that the equivalent of smoking like 50 Cuban cigars and inhaling? I don't know. I don't want to know. And I'm extra wary because I've just in the last month have started feeling physically good again, and I do not want to get in the way of that. Today, by the way, was 1 month of being back in the gym and working out and exercising like I was before I threw out my back and got a slipped herniated disc. So hooray for me. 1 month, 31, and not even a regular short ass month. 31 days, a full month, not some shitty Canadian month, an American month full of days. And I feel good about it, dude. I feel pretty strong. I feel like solid. I don't feel like I'm teetering on throwing my back out again, or just like I can't stand straight, or all the other things that were really, really starting to get to me 2 months ago. Now I'm not back at full strength. I'm not going for it, but I am confident that I could like up my weight next week and push myself a little harder. And again, this is a new Nick. This is a new me. Like I said a couple episodes ago, I'm practicing within new limits. And that's part of the challenge. I'm not acting like I'm 27 again. You know, I'm not like going to burst through the fucking wall, because there's a door. There's a way in that way. 31 days. And I honestly wasn't sure I'd get this far. And I only I gave myself, how about this? The old me would have been like, I'm going 31 fucking days in a row without stopping. But I'm like, you know what? No, I gave myself 21. I was like, I'm going to do 21 in a row. And then after that, I can take one day off between 21 and a month. And I took day, 23 or 4 to rest. This last Sunday was day 29 or whatever. And I took that off, and 31 days and then 2 rest days. So here's this other thing I saw. This news story is a bummer because I like Montana. Montana's like untouched. No one's really there. That sucks. It's empty, beautiful, and it's like the Texas of the North, except without that fucking attitude. But I just saw this. Montana becomes the first state to ban drag reading to children in schools. First of all, there's like 19 people in Montana. Is that a worry? The odds that there is even a drag queen in Montana is so low. There's a silver lining to the story. In order to ban drag queens reading to children in schools, Montana had to first legalize reading. So yeah, it sucks because things like that come into the news and you're like, oh man, I had sort of idealized that state. And in the back of my mind, I was like, one day it'd be cool to like have some acres there. Right? Let's have some land there. But even land is getting more expensive because people are finding out about Montana. They're moving there. And then just shitty people in the news like this. There's also this family in Montana that is just causing a lot of problems with the natives, just with greed. I've heard they've killed people. They're the Duttons. Have you guys heard of these fucking people? They own this ranch called the Yellowstone, and they are assholes. You guys, Jesus, it makes me not want to live over there. I'm like, are there other families like these Duttons? I don't know why also they let so many cameras into their lives to document all this shit, but it's like, tell them to leave you alone. Like, why are you? Anyway, I'm starting to have doubts. Maybe one of the Dakotas. It's pretty quiet over there, right? So I saw this article today, and it's kind of interesting for a couple reasons. Studying the limits of human perfection through darts, which I don't think has ever been said before. It asks an interesting question. Why do athletes always seem to get better generation by generation? The thing that made me want to read it is, it's not always for reasons you might think. God damn you, subheadline. It worked. I'm reading. I'm forging ahead. I used to think this. I used to think like, well, the reason records keep getting broken and people just keep like, refining and getting better at things is just because humans are getting, stronger, smarter, and we have more information at our disposal to become better. And I think that's only partially true because you don't always factor in technology. And you think, what technology could there be in darts besides drinking beer and standing? Darts themselves have improved. They've become thinner, making it less likely that previously thrown darts will crowd out the board. And the triple 20, which is like the thing, the best score you can get outside of the bullseye, especially if you're playing cricket. There have been changes in the construction of the board. In the early 90s, the wires that separate the scoring sections were as thick as 1.8 millimeters, and now they're closer to 0.6, which increases the height of the triple 20 to roughly 9.4 millimeters from 8 millimeters. That's like a pretty sizable difference, but who thinks of this sort of thing, right? You would think when you see a dartboard, you're like, they've just always looked like dartboards, minus probably the first year of darts ever, where I'm sure it was all wood. So they're less likely to bounce off the board, more likely to be directed toward the triple scoring segments. Scoring itself has improved. All these things, I never would have thought of it. As I was reading this, it made me realize this applies to cycling. when I watch the Tour de France, I am just amazed at what these guys can do. The records keep, getting broken. People are getting faster and faster, and you don't stop to think as often. You're like, yeah, it is partially conditioning and training and steroids, but a lot of it is also the technology that goes in, the clothing, the weight of like the helmets, bikes. Like I can lift a carbon road bike with my pinky. I mean, just my pinky over my head. That's how light they are. And you go, oh yeah, like they're certainly better. We have more information about how to be a better cyclist than we've ever had before. Like, have you ever seen that video of the guy going downhill and he uses physics and goes, oh, if I flatten my whole body on my seat, I don't have to pedal as hard and the aerodynamics will just shoot me down the hill past all my opponents. I think the move is outlawed, but this is when you have information like that at your disposal, you can be better. But technology has just made everything easier, which is more proof we are living in the best time in history. There's just more news to read, so it feels worse. Again, technology has helped us. We're getting more done. We're more efficient. We're living longer. We're healthier. Things are getting better, even if they don't feel like it. But yeah, man. So what this made me want to see is a Tour de France with modern cyclists, not a whole entire tour. Couple of stages, get modern cyclists to use the road bikes they used in the 1960s or 70s even. How much better are they going to be? I would love to see that. If just 5 professional cyclists who've done the tour would agree to do that as just an experiment. Oh, that would be so awesome to see how much better they are with old metal, like just heavy ass steel road bikes where the gearing isn't great, the handlebars aren't comfortable, there's no grips. Oh, and they would have to wear the same outfits as back then. So everything minus the human, everything minus the physical person has to be 1960s or 70s era Tour de France. What would that be like? Would they all finish? Would they break their current records? Would they break old records? Someone make this happen. Do you think it'd be interesting to watch? I think it would be interesting to watch. If you do, let me know. If you don't, let me know. And if you have no opinion, write that in the comments. Listen, guys, I am melting under my clothing right now. So this is the part where I remind you, if you're still here, if you're listening to this, subscribe. If you are in front of a computer or have your phone or anything with the internet, go to the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'm 250 subscribers away from being able to monetize the channel. So head on over, click the subscribe, and there's a Patreon. Patreon.com/ATNY. You get stuff. There's stuff to get. And once it builds up a little more, I'm going to do episodes and stream episodes within that. Get over there and let's make that happen. So with that being said, thank you for being here. Goodbye.
Don't be a dear.